Okay, so this is part 2 of College Russian, the alphabet lesson. And we're going to pick up straight away with reviewing the vowels that we know so far. So do you remember what sound these vowels make? You've got ah, and remember this is always just an ah sound or an It doesn't become an a or an ah like English does, okay? How about this one? Yeah. So ah, yeah. And this one? O. Remember it's not an O, it's O. It's more of an open O. Okay? And this one? Ooh, ooh. Students always get tripped up on this one. Ooh. Okay, good. So I'm now going to introduce the letter we've kind of been seeing throughout the video, the previous video, and you were kind of figuring it out based on context. Well, now we're officially going to introduce it. So the backwards N in Russian is pronounced E. Never pronounced I like R-I. It's always pronounced E. Okay? So let's practice. Where have we seen that? Do you remember any of the words where you saw that before? How about this? We just saw it at the end of the last video. Good. Florida. Florida. Good. And this one, we saw this before. America. America. Good. How about this one? This is a type of music. Hip hop. We've got our P's there. Remember, they're shaped like a plateau. Plateau starts with a P. Hip hop. Good. Okay. This is a big, long sentence. I'm giving you this because I know you can handle it. I think you're going to be able to figure out what's being said here, even using your genius abilities to make sense of things that sound kind of similar to English. So we'll start trying to read. Okay, right here is a little letter you don't necessarily know yet, but it's not going to affect the pronunciation at all, so don't pay any attention to it, okay? Okay, let's start from the very beginning. There's our false friend. Makes the V sound. Вот Владимир Путин. Он русский президент. Вот Владимир Путин. Он русский президент. Okay, anybody want to guess what's being said here? Okay, what means here is Vladimir Putin. Okay, we use our brains. We already kind of know a couple of things about Vladimir Putin. What do you think is being said about him in Russian? He, Russian president. Here's Vladimir Putin. He is the Russian president. Awesome. You just said 2 full sentences in Russian, and you understood them. So, you're doing pretty well. Cool. Let's go to the next one. So this is a book, and I want you to try and read who are the 3 people it's about. Now that you know what this sound makes, you know this is an E, try and figure out who are the 3 people this book is about. Looks like an interesting book, by the way. Okay, here we go. Lenin, Stalin, и Hitler. Hitler. Remember I told you Russian doesn't have an H sound, so we call him Hitler. Russian calls him Hitler. H is either made into a G sound or a H sound in Russian because they don't have an H. Good. Okay, here's a review. Let's go through these pretty fast. Гуси means geese. Кофе. Кофе. This is one of my favorite words in Russian. Hot doggy. Hot doggy. Hot doggy. Anybody want to take a guess about what this is? This means hot dogs. Hot dogs. The E makes things plural in Russian. So there's hot dog, and hot dogs would be hot doggy. Okay. How about this one? Университет. Universitet. Any guesses about what you think this might mean? Good. University. How about this one? Student. Student. Okay, here we go. Big long sentence. I know you can do it. Okay, here we go. Он студент в университете. Any guesses about what you think this might mean? Something about a student university. So he is a student in university. Good. Oh, we're getting even fancier here. See if you can do this one. Here we go. Он студент в русском университете. Any guesses what you think this might mean? I think you know. He's a student in a Russian university. Молодцы. Good job. Okay, so another vowel. This is called и краткое, which in English translates as short E, and it acts kind of like a Y. So, for example, if it's at the beginning of a word, it would be like a Y sound. Try this. Yoga. Yoga. Good. And I'm sure you already know what that means. How about this one? Yogurt. Yogurt. Good. And I'm sure you can guess that one too. How about this one? Okay. So it doesn't make an A sound here. It's going to go I and then close it off with an E at the end. So my. This is a month of the year. Can you guess which one? Good. May. How about this one? Sound it out. Moi. 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 And that's how you'd say my. Okay. See if you can figure out this sentence. I guess it's not a sentence. Sorry, this phrase. Мой русский друг. So as you'll notice here, when it's at the end, when it's after an E sound, it doesn't change the pronunciation at all. Over here, after other vowels, it does change the pronunciation. But here, it's just redundant. It doesn't do anything. So, мой русский друг. Good. Okay, so you don't know this letter yet, but based on context, you should be able to figure it out. Try and sound that out. Face. Facebook. Good. Facebook. So this letter is what? B. Right. And we'll officially learn it a little bit later on in the lesson. Okay, some more vowels. So in Russian, you have the E that doesn't have dots on top, and you have the E that does have dots on top. And I hate to break the news to you, but sometimes when you get into more advanced texts, they don't put those dots on there. So you just have to know the word and know that it's actually a yo. So don't be too overwhelmed by that. Your beginning your beginning textbooks will always show that for you. So when it's got the two dots on top, it's a yo sound. Okay? So just imagine, okay? So just think, how do you think the word yo-yo is written in Russian? How do you think it's written? If they've already got a sound for yo, what do you think yo-yo looks like? There you go. That's how you write yo-yo in Russian. Okay, here's another one for you. Ее. Ее. So her. So for example, я люблю ее. I love her. Ее. Good. How about here? This is one of the things I can never get enough of when I go to Russia. Мед. Мед. Good. Okay, let's practice what we've learned so far. These are going to be some cognate words. Grapefruit. Grapefruit. Good. How about this? This is a drink. Sprite. Sprite. Good. This is a city in America. Salt Lake City. Good. Salt Lake City. How about this one? Another famous place in America. Times Square. Times Square. How about this one? Miami. Miami. Good. Okay. You should be able to understand this one. Amerikansky. Amerikansky. That's how you would say like an American man or American something. And this one? There are Russians that actually use this word, by the way. Boyfriend. Boyfriend. Good. Okay, another vowel. This is eh. So remember we had the vowel yeah. Now this is the vowel version without the y sound in front. Eh. Eh. And you don't see it as often as you see the y in Russian, but you do see it. Okay, so here's a phrase you might ask. Try and read that. Кто это? Кто это? Good. Okay, here's a type of music that some people like. Black metal. Black metal. Good. Okay, this is a place in America. Manhattan. Manhattan. Good. And then another type of music. Rap. Rap. So it's interesting to note, Russian does not have an a sound. So usually they'll use this eh sound instead. So if you have a name that has an a sound in it, you'd probably use this letter instead, because they do not have an a sound in their language. Okay? Next vowel. So you know we already know oo. Now you put a little y sound in front of it and you get this fancy letter. U. U. Okay? Here we go. So, this is a state in America. Utah. Utah. Good. How about this one? There's that B we just saw with Facebook. And this is really hard for us English speakers to say because we're palatalizing these L's, which is kind of a hard thing for us to do. So let's just try it. Люблю. 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 I love. This one, this is a Russian man's name. Yuri. And there's the most famous Yuri in Russia. Can you read what his name is? Yuri Gagarin, the first man in space. And this is a country that no longer exists. If you're super young, you probably don't know what it is. But it used to exist. Try and read it. And you don't know this letter at the end yet, so just try and read everything else. So Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was an old country that ceased to exist in the 90s. Okay? And our last vowel, we're almost done. It's the backwards R, and it makes the ya sound. Okay? It also means I. So if you ever see it by itself, that means I. Like, I am happy, or I'm an American, things like that. Here we go. There's that country we just talked about. And there you see it at the end. A lot of countries are going to have this at the end. Iya at the end. So Yugoslavia. Here's another country. Япония. Any guesses about what country do you think this is? Japan. Япония. Okay. Oh, this is the best country. Россия. Россия. Good. Okay, how about this country? Italia. Italia. Good. And this is means uncle. Дядя. Дядя. Good. So what do you think this says? Just based on context, try reading it, and then just throw out a wild guess what you think it means. So remember I told you when ya is by itself, it means I. Ya, and we kind of know this letter. We saw it before with Facebook. Я люблю. There's that letter again with Facebook. Тебя. Я люблю тебя. What do you think it means? I love you. Good job. Okay, so just a quick thing about Russian vowels. All of them have what's called sort of a hard version and a soft version, which is the same sound with just a Y sound in front. Let me illustrate to you what I mean. So, as in alphabet. And then the soft, quote-unquote, version, яблоко. And this is going to be important to know the hardness versus softness when you go on to make plurals out of words and put them into cases. It'll be important to know when consonants are hard or soft. Okay, let's go to the next letter. Do you remember what sound this one makes? And this is the hard version because it doesn't have the little Y sound in front. Like экономика. Экономика. Now this one, do you remember what sound this one makes? Yeah. It's considered the quote-unquote soft version. For example, еда. Here is экономика, and here is еда. Good. Come down here. We know this letter. O, as in oka, an old word that you don't hear very often. And this one, just put a little Y sound in front, and you've got yo-yo. Okay, down here, here's the hard version. U, as in Ufa, and the U, as in Utah. Okay, then the last vowel that we've learned, and I'll teach you its hard version in just a minute, this is the soft version, is E. E, as in India. Good. So understanding this, that all of the Russian vowels have a hard version and a soft version is really important, and you'll learn about it more later on. Okay, so let's practice. These are all Штаты. What do you think Штаты means? Well, let's see what that first word is, and then we might be able to figure out what Штаты means. Utah. Oh, Utah is a state. Okay, so we must be talking about states here. How about this one? Arizona. Arizona. Good. This one? California. California. Okay. Oregon. Good. Idaho. Or Idaho. I've heard it pronounced several different ways. Idaho. Idaho and Idaho is how I've heard it pronounced. Okay, how about this one? Texas. Texas. How about this one? You don't know this letter yet? Just ignore it for right now. Okay, just ignore that letter. I'll just put the mouse over it so you're not even tempted. New York. Good. New York. How about this one? Florida. How about this one? Alaska. Alaska. And lastly, Louisiana. Good. Okay, our last vowel, and this is the vowel of all vowels. This drives my students crazy trying to learn to pronounce it, and there get to be some pretty interesting noises coming in the classroom. So this sound is really hard for English speakers to make. So it's almost like a mix between an and an E, but just to save yourself from making a complete fool of yourself, just kind of pronounce it as an E for right now, okay? Russians know that it's hard for English speakers to make, so they're ready for you to make this mistake, and they're not going to be totally confused if you say it wrong. So, E. And this is considered the hard version of E, okay? So, E. And it will take you several years to hear the difference, and then probably a few more years to even make the difference, to pronounce the difference. So an interesting thing to notice about is it's never at the beginning of a word. Never at the beginning of a word, okay? So here we go. Let's try and pronounce these. Just like I said, if you don't feel comfortable making the sound, or like making it sound like somebody just punched you in the stomach, just kind of say it as an E or an I for a noun. That's fine. Мыло. 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 Okay? How about this one? Ты. Ты. This one? Вы. Вы. Okay? Мыл. Мыл. Okay, this one's going to be kind of hard because you've got the hard one juxtaposed with the soft one, so it's going to be kind of crazy. Вы мыли. Вы мыли. And you can kind of hear it when they're side by side. You can kind of hear the difference. Вы мыли. Вы мыли. Вы мыли. Good. So that's all for the vowel section of our alphabet lesson. In the next lesson, you'll learn all of the crazy letters, the likes of which you haven't seen.